Good morning, members of the media present today. Welcome to another edition of our press conference here at the People's National Congress Reform. My name is Belgrave, and I will be moderating today's press conference to read the prepared statement of the People's National Congress Reform and also to provide you with some feedback to the questions or concerns you may have. We have Executive Member of the People's National Congress Reform, retired Rear Admiral of the Guyana Defense Force, Mr. Gary Bess, and we will just, before we read the prepared statement, I'd like to offer our condolences to the family and friends of the dead fishermen, while also expressing hope for those that are still missing. Additionally, we would like to offer our condolences here at the PNCR to the family and the friends of the persons that perished in the accidents both on the East Coast and Upper Berbice Quarantine. And we also at this time would like to wish full recovery for the survivors of those accidents. So I will now hand you over to Rear Admiral Bess as he reads the prepared statement.
Thank you, Ryan. PNCR Press Statement. Transforming Guyana's international reputation and driving a record of foreign investment. The People's National Congress Reform wishes to highlight the progress that is being made by President Granger and the APNU-AFC coalition to restore and transform Guyana's reputation on the international stage. This is an important part of President David Granger's plan to ensure that we are attracting the necessary investment to develop high-value industries so we can put more money into people's pockets and provide young people with better job opportunities. The recent praise by the United Nations, one of the world's largest international institutions, noting the considerable progress that has been made in the fight against financial crimes and corruption under the current government, demonstrates just how far we have come under President Granger's honest leadership. Tackling these issues head-on has been central to the government's success in attracting increased foreign direct investment and strengthening international trade relations. Guyana is fast becoming a country that international partners can trust. It is now a country the world wants to trade with. Guyana is now well and truly open for business. Under the APNU-AFC government, Guyana has seen an unprecedented surge in investment into the country, from oil and gas, to agro-processing, to manufacturing and tourism. As a result of the steps taken by David Granger and his APNU-AFC coalition, foreign direct investment has quadrupled as more companies see our country as a more attractive place to invest. In 2018 alone, the APNU-AFC government attracted almost $500 million in foreign investment, United States dollars, including oil and gas, construction, and agri-processing. This is more than double the $225 million in foreign investment under the PPP in 2014, and almost 4 times the $135 million US that was invested in Guyana between 2005 and 2009 under the PPP. This growth in investment means that more jobs than ever before are being created across the country. In fact, the Guyana Office for Investment, GoInvest, records that over 220 investment deals have been signed by domestic and foreign companies, creating over 15,000 jobs. Importantly, this investment is also driving the development of higher value industries, creating in the process more and more opportunities for people to increase their income. Strengthening ties with Mexico to expand trade in the fields of agriculture, oil and gas, disaster management, education, trade, and the resuscitation of the coconut industry are all designed to improve the lives of all citizens. Further, Qatar Airways is set to begin flights to Guyana, while the US airline JetBlue has also announced plans to open up a new flight between New York and Georgetown. These accomplishments sit in stark contrast to the situation our country found itself in under 22 years of the PPP rule, notably the rise of the narco state, the associated violence with that state, and chaos in the country. Guyanese being pulled aside at airports and subject to constant narcotic searches, the failure to invest in sustainable industries, and the suppression of civil rights and police brutality were the order of the day under the PPP. This was not a country the international community wanted to partner with, and it was not a country investors wanted to invest in. It was not a country that was home to a government of where the people can be trusted. It was a country where important industries like sugar was forced into collapse, costing tens of thousands of jobs. It was a country where our youth were not receiving an education that was fit for purpose, leaving them without the necessary skills for the job market or hope for the future. It was a country that was governed by a policy of dishonesty, deception, and division. After 23 years of chaos and stagnation under the PPP, Guyana is now on the right path under David Granger's leadership, under his integrity, and under his direction. But there's more to do. Guyana needs to continue to strengthen governance and transparency and work with international partners so that all Guyanese can realize the full value of Guyana's oil resources. The PPP has, however, shown that it is not interested in following this path of progress and development. The PPP has put forward Irfan Ali, a man facing 19 criminal charges and who has been banned from entering Canada by the Canadian government, one of Guyana's largest trade partners, as their presidential candidate. This is the strongest signal yet that they are not serious about developing Guyana. They are not serious about securing real and sustainable investment, and they certainly are not serious about ensuring all Guyanese benefit from our resources. As we reach forest oil, foreign companies need to know that Guyana will manage these resources effectively. Only President David Granger has the honesty, integrity, diplomacy, and qualifications to take Guyana forward. This has been reflected by international organizations, including the UN and Transparency International, who have recognized the steps taken to bring better government, better governance, and transparency to Guyana. It has been reflected in the increased confidence from investors and trading partners. President Granger and his coalition have made a good start, but there is more to do. They need your support to continue the progress and ensure a better life for all Guyanese. At the next election, it is a clear choice between a government led by President David Granger, trusted and respected by the international community, or one led by Irfan Ali and the PPP, whose policy of dishonesty left Guyanese without hope for the future. We in the PNCR believe that Guyanese will choose a government led by President David Granger, who is trusted and respected nationally and internationally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Bess. Members of the media, that of course was the prepared statement by the People's National Congress Reform at this time. So we will now open the floor to any questions that you may have related to the statement or otherwise. Sean.
Good morning, Sean Embrack, News Coverage of News Coverage of Guyana, Admiral. Sir, you mentioned that under the previous administration, the PPP, Guyana was classified as a narco state, and there are evidence of this. But to date, the current administration is unable to secure any criminal charges against any major drug trafficker within the past 4 years. And most recently, Roger Shahid Khan is back in Guyana, and we heard the president saying that witnesses are failing to come forward, and so the police are not able to hold him further on any charges. They're now seeking assistance from overseas. What has been the challenges for the government in bringing drug traffickers, senior drug traffickers, to justice, because we're seeing the small man getting locked up for a gram or so of marijuana, but no big fish?
Well, thank you for your question. It's a fair question. The party has spoken through the president in relation to the issue of Roger Khan, in the absence of evidence and the absence of people coming forward. It's a moral issue of persons who may have information and feel afraid to come forward. So I think there's a role for the state and a role for the government in that regard. Secondly, it is a civic duty of most people to really give evidence if a case is before the court. But in these circumstances, I think the party's position is that they will encourage persons to come forward, and I'm sure they will be going to let administration provide as much protection as is needed for persons who wish to come forward and give that evidence. In some cases, you could compel somebody to be a witness, not in every case. So it is a concern of the PNCR that from the point of view of the government and the state apparatus, that many persons seem to be escaping the law. But it's a collective effort between those who are in enforcement, the prosecutors, the enforcers, and the citizens as a whole to ensure that we were able to bring all those perpetrators to justice.
Commissioner Brown, Admiral, please stop right here.
Sir, your party had been in opposition for several decades, and even in the years running up to the 2015 election, there had been numerous allegations of Mr. Khan et al. Being involved in certain activities, including death squads, drug trafficking, and so on. What had your party done during those years to amass the kind of potential evidence that you could have now used from 2015 thereon to secure a possible conviction against Mr. Khan?
Well, thank you for your question, Dennis. I think if you recognize the party in opposition would have had primarily anecdotal evidence. But the party in opposition didn't have the government apparatus to do investigations. So its information, in large part, would have been anecdotal. It would have received information from some witnesses who may have came forward and stated things that occurred that they would have witnessed. But in a state, we expect the apparatus to remain intact. So what the party expected when it came into government, that it would therefore find whatever evidence was gathered by the state and the state institutions to deal with the issue of crimes that were perpetrated by Mr. Roger Khan. So for example, the police force, they had almost 9 years before the party came into power since the issue of Mr. Roger Khan. So what happens to that information? That information is gathered by state agencies. I mean, you have the criminal side, you also have the civil side. So from the party's perspective, in opposition, it couldn't do more than observe, receive, and have anecdotal information, but not information that it could have used when it got into office to prosecute, but rely on the state apparatus to have held that information so it can take the information and make the best possible case against them.
A follow-up again, Mr. Best. As a former chief of staff who worked through that period, did you at all come across any concrete evidence that could have been used against Mr. Khan to secure a conviction?
Well, not personally, because as the chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force, that's not law enforcement, that's defense.
I know, but it was a military intelligence unit. Of course, the Army did play a role in arresting Mr. Khan, seizing guns, seizing interception equipment.
Yes, correct. The Guyana Defense Force did play a role, as opposed to the Army. The Guyana Defense Force did play a role in the Joint Services operation, because the Defense Force, when deployed, is deployed in support of the Guyana Police Force. So yes, bits and pieces of information came within the military intelligence unit which was shared with the Guyana Police Force. So all the information we have picked up in relation to Mr. Khan was shared with the Guyana Police Force during that period of time. Did we receive information that the state could have acted on criminally and lead a charge against Mr. Khan? I don't think we did. We have a lot of information that when processed perhaps could have gotten to that stage. What I do know, and you mentioned it, that the Guyana Defense Force as a state institution played a key role in supporting the police to ensure that Mr. Khan could have eventually been renditioned in Trinidad and charged in the United States. So we did have a state institution, some state institutions that functioned notwithstanding the state of Guyana at that time.
So Regiment Guyana Standard. Admiral, we've heard the opposition leader raising concerns over vehicles being donated to the President's PET program with regard specifically to ownership. Could you say who these assets belong to? If it belongs to the PNCR, or whether it belongs to the state or the government?
Well, I don't think, well, it's not the President PET program, so to speak, as he would use it. We talk about education. And education, really, I won't see it as a pet, I see it as an absolute necessity. So, as you saw, President Belgrave has reached out and created an initiative where various persons will come forward and donate resources to ensure that education, children reach to school. These are not personal assets of the President, that's the first thing. Right? These are assets that are are donated to the party, a la government, so that they can be used to get children to school, but they're not personal to the president.
Residents handle of the HGP 19 News. We've heard that Brigadier General retired Mark Phillips could possibly be on the campaign of the People's Progressive Party today. I would suppose that this is someone that you would have worked with in the past, or you would have been in the same camp at some point in time. Do you foresee him running possibly alongside Mr. Irfanani coming up against President David Granger as a challenge for the PNUFC coalition?
Well, Brigadier Phillips, we were in the same camp in Ghana, if that's what you meant. But I think in the Guyana Defense Force, we like to say that the Guyana Defense Force we consider the institution where we all belong to. That was our pride and joy, our party. So we all function as military officers, guided by the Commander-in-Chief in the execution of our duties. In that extent, yes, we're in the same camp. But if you were asking me to give a personal view, not a party view on if the Brigadier is up against the Commander-in-Chief, I would say it's no contest. It's a no contest.
The leader, why?
Sorry?
Why is it a no?
Because the credentials of the David Granger-led coalition government, honest leadership, integrity, development, more jobs, entrepreneurship, international recognition, national recognition, all those, when you take off the scorecard, I don't see it being a serious competition between President David Arthur Granger, who was a brigadier retired, and the gentleman you mentioned, who was a colleague of mine, Brigadier General Mark Phillips.
The leader of the opposition spoke about his integrity, things like about accountability and so forth. Are those attributes that you can really attest to him?
You're speaking to the...
about Brigadier retired Phillips.
Well, let's be in this political sphere, we have to rely on what his bosses say.
But you would have worked with him.
You're asking me a straight
I'm asking
question?
if you would have worked with him.
No, as an officer who worked with me and under me, because he worked under me, yes. I did find him to have integrity and good leadership. That's a fact.
And this is something that he could possibly take to the People's Progressive Party.
That I cannot speak about. That is up to him, but it's a fact that he brought it towards me. I was able to demand that.
So are you saying that these qualities you'll throw by the wayside and not take them to the party?
No, I wouldn't say that. That's up to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips is a gentleman and he will decide what he wants to do with all his qualities. What I would say, in certain terms, when he worked with me, yes, he had to display those qualities. I demanded of it. I got those qualities out of him. And in the Guyana Defense Force, he did a good job. What he does now is up to him.
Admiral, sir, could you say what do you see are the implications for the coalition, given the fact that a number of small parties are emerging? Currently, only last night we saw one being launched. Pretty much on the face of it, it appears to be quite youthful in composition. What are the implications for the coalition as far as splitting the vote is concerned in the upcoming general elections?
Well, this is an emerging issue, and of course the party's position on this is also evolving. In our view, and the president has made it very clear, that's the leader of our party, that coalition politics are here to stay. So the extent to which there are other parties that are being formed is the extent to which the David Granger party would be concerned, but not from a negative perspective, to see how broad the coalitions can be in the future. We don't see them as a negative, as we say, a combat divider. We see them as a combat multiplier. Once the platform they're on is similar to the platform of the APNU, similar to the platform of the APNU AFC, we see that as progress within the country. So we don't see it as a challenge. We don't see it as a vote splitting. We see that the best will contend. We feel we have the best candidate, the best candidate, the best team, and the best plan to develop Guyana over the next 10 to 20 years.
Well, can you not see it as a potential vote splitter when the coalition basically won the last election by just under 5,000 votes? And here it is, you have what appears to be a youthful bunch of people who seem to be already attracting some attention by what they are saying.
Well, there is no track record on this new book that has emerged. The PNCR is a mass-based party. It has 62 years of experience in politics. It was in office for a fairly lengthy period of time. It created the nation state. It developed some of the major infrastructure in the country. It was out of office for 22 years. It's back in office, and in 4 years, it has already demonstrated its capability under a coalition umbrella of developing Guyana and developing Guyana for every Guyanese. So I think you have to look at the fact that we're a mass-based party. Some of the emergent parties are small parties, might be middle-class to upper-class parties, and we don't believe that, again, that will be a combat divider. We don't see them as a major threat. We see them, parties being emerging in the community as necessary and useful. We don't see it as a combat divider. It's difficult for a party at this time to say that is a combat divider. We don't know what will happen in the future. Because when you look at what is the platform of the recent CI party, there's nothing in that platform, there's not our core principles of the PNCR. So they haven't invented anything new. They've looked at what the PNCR has done over the decades and just made it prime time and prime activities for themselves. They haven't come with anything new. Absolutely nothing new came from CI, if you look at it carefully. Constitutional reform, that's not new. Race relations, that's not new. Walking away and moving away from ethnic divisive politics, that's not new. So essentially, it's set of young persons who are interested in the development of Guyana, I must say that, but it's not different at all from the PNCR. That's why we don't believe that it's a combat divider. It's a splitter of votes.
Okay, they're saying that basically that the two major parties have not delivered. For instance, you single out constitutional reform. Your party has clearly not delivered anything in that regard since you have been in office. So for them, they're saying that that is something that has not been done. It's just an empty promise. Similarly, on the subject of campaign financing. So on the one hand, you see them as a small party. You see your party as a big party with a track record. But on the other hand, you're saying delivery is poor or virtually non-existent. Hence, there's a role for them.
I'm not saying there isn't a role for them. What I'm saying is that, let me answer the question in relation to constitutional reform. Constitutional reform requires, in most cases, 2/3 of the members of parliament to get changes. There are provisions in the constitution that are entrenched. So, a single party in power, it is difficult for that party alone to have constitutional reform. If you remember the last Constitutional Reform Commission, we had to get at least 2/3 of the members to vote on many clauses and articles that are now in the Constitution. So constitutional reform is not an activity for the party in power. It's an activity for all the parties that are in power and parties who seek to have power. So, and we will have this debate all the time, that the APMU-led coalitions in office and there's no constitutional reform, but it can't be done without the cooperation of the other members of parliament, which are from the PPP, and in this case just for the PPP. So that is one of the issues of constitutional reform. It has to be a national effort. On the issue of constitutional reform, it has to be a national effort. We need all MPs involved, and that means we need to get the other parties involved to have meaningful constitutional reform. So it is not that the Guyana APNU, AFC is not interested in constitutional reform. It's that the minds have not met so that all the members of parliament and their leaders are interested in constitutional reform to have meaningful constitutional reform.
Sir, do you think that there were enough effort on the part of the current administration in finding common grounds with the opposition to advance constitutional reform further along than where it is now?
I believe so. I believe there's sufficient goodwill on the part of His Excellency. Maybe we need more time in the new term of the coalition. There may be more willingness on the part of the opposition to sit and meaningfully discuss. I believe they're, right now they're probably concerned more with elections than anything else. And of course, they spent a lot of time in procuring an NCM I don't want to say anything else more than that. That's how history, the CCJ has ruled in it. So there is sufficient goodwill and sufficient interest within the PNCR to deal with constitutional reform. The party is committed to it. That the party can say without fear of contradiction. It is committed to constitutional reform. But I thought I needed to explain to the members of the public that it's not only the party. We need most of the members of parliament to sit and when a decision is made, to have those changes made in the constitution. And secondly, if we're going to do constitutional reform, we need to get the people of Guyana involved. We need to hear what the people think about these changes we want to make. That's important too. Not only the views of the MPs, but the views of the people of the country. That is also important for constitutional reform.
But concretely, what did the government do to reach across the opposition?
Dennis, you know.
On constitutional reform.
Dennis, you know, the president has met several times with the leader of the opposition. Those are opportunities to discuss whatever needs to be discussed. If it's not raised by His Excellency on a particular meeting, it can be raised with the leader of the opposition. There are other outlets for political pressure, civil society. If you look at the landscape for the last 2 years has been, and this is the media landscape, has been littered with oil and gas issues. We have not seen that even in the media. And that's a force at stake.
Beyond the meetings that you're talking about between the president and the opposition, you were basically to deal with specific subjects. What else the administration has done concretely to reach across the opposition on the subject of constitutional reform?
The PNCR has an open door policy when it comes to discussing issues of national issues, whether it's security, constitutional reform, and the leader of any opposition is quite able, is quite open, is quite permitted to raise these issues at any point in time. Other members of civil society, the CI, for example, this particular grouping now talking about constitutional reform as a political party, but they exist out there as individuals. So I don't believe that the People's National Congress reform did not open doors. Doors are always open for discussion on constitutional reform. They're always open.
Sir, would you admit that the opposition from the outstart of the term of the AP and UFC were successful in stifling the government in some of the things that they wanted to do, inclusive of constitutional reform? And my next question is, how confident is the party going into the 2020 elections of March 2nd and winning it, especially at the base of the youth level?
But we didn't end the press statement today by saying that the party is confident that the citizens of Guyana will vote for a David Guyana-led coalition government based on his honesty, integrity, diplomacy, qualifications, and commitment to developing the country nationally. I believe that itself, along with the record of the coalition, more jobs, safer communities, international standing, national standing, we believe those, along with the integrity and character of the leader we have, will be sufficient for Guyanese when they reflect just before elections that the Granger-led coalition is the best party that can manage the resources of this country for the benefit of all entities. So we are very confident that come March 2nd, the Granger-led coalition will be victorious and continue the work it has started over the past 4 years.
Mr. Hamilton,
Next
the
question.
first question
Yes.
that he asked, would you,
Let's go.
he asked another question, you could address that?
If you will admit that the PPP, they were able to hinder the government in its work over the past 4 years, inclusive of approaching constitution.
Well, I think the political opposition acted as a political opposition, did what they thought is best for themselves, but not for the country. Because when you look at the programs settled by the David Granger-led APNU, David Granger-led APNU-EFC government, if you look at those programs, those are programs that you need to oppose. Opposition parties may highlight important issues for the citizens, but to procure a no confidence motion through the back door, through illegal means to amend the Constitution during the last constitutional amendment that we had, which prevented an MP from crossing the floor, and then procure an MP to cross the floor under the Green administration, is testimony to the level of dishonesty of the PPP. This constitution was amended to prevent an MP from crossing the floor and vote against his party. And the party that created the amendment in the last constitutional reform procured an MP to cross the floor. So if you are asking us what we think about the People's Progressive Party in that regard, certainly that is not what an opposition ought to do. And I wouldn't like to say they were successful in hindering. I don't think that's a successful in hindering at all. And I think that's outright dishonesty by the People's Progressive Party.
Lisa Hamilton, Guyana Chronicle. We know that recently Mr. Schuman of the LJP party would have signaled his interest in joining APNU. Would you say that there's collective interest among the various parties in APNU to accept Mr. Schuman? And has any other party signaled interest in joining the coalition?
I can only answer this question based on what the party leader said recently. Like I said, we're a mass-based party, but information oftentimes will flow from the top. And the leader said that, yes, there are exploratory talks with the LJP. So we are in exploratory talks. But if you listen carefully to the leader, he's been saying that coalition politics are here to stay. So naturally, there's an interest in within the APNU for coalition politics, and any party that whose platform is similar to our platform, more than likely such a party could become part of the coalition.
And has any other party signaled interest?
But not to my knowledge, not to my knowledge. And based on my recent information from our executive meetings, I'm not aware that there are any other party since LJP signaling an interest.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we thank you for coming down to
That's it, Dennis?
And thank you for being here at today's press conference. Before we close, we in the People's National Congress take this opportunity to extend best wishes to His Excellency as he goes overseas for another medical checkup. We wish him a clean bill of health as he returns to shepherd our country towards continuous development. Do have a wonderful rest of the day.